Hey guys, again here with Cigar Brothers, doing another, this is a manufacturer review, right? Kind of?
Yes.
Backstory? Well, I'm just asking for advice here. Okay. I'm Josh Fabella with Adrian Acosta Cigars.
I'm Lucas Silva with Oxford Cigar Company.
Adrian Acosta from the Cigar Culture.
And Spence Drake from White Hat Cigars.
All right. Go ahead. I forgot what we were going to talk about.
Cigars.
Cigars.
I'm pretty sure. Tobacco.
Oh my God,
dead
man.
leaves.
I thought you had something lined up.
No!
So Spence, Adrian, what do you guys got for us today here about the HR line?
So we've got a few different offerings of HR. So the three different lines that we have in the HR portfolio, we have the original, which is the HR Signature that we came out with 5 or so years ago. The HR Claro and the HR Blue that we came out with at the trade show 2.5 years ago now.
2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Which is, they're all fantastic. And then you also have another one that you don't have here, the Soneros?
Cineros, yeah. We launched Cineros at the trade show 2018, so last trade show.
Last year. How's that been doing?
It's been doing well.
And how many sizes that come in?
That one's, we've got 4 sizes in 2 different lines. So Maduro and a Habano Claro.
Habano Claro.
Yeah, so everything is box pressed in that except for the 60. We do a Corona Gorda, a Toro, and a Robusto.
Okay.
And then the 60 is the only one that we keep in a Parejo, a round cigar.
Round cigar.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to the HR real quick,
Yep.
the core line, what is the price points now? Because you guys changed some stuff up.
Yeah. Recently we've changed the pricing on the Signature. The rest of them have maintained for the last year the pricing that we had then. So in the blue line we go from $8 to $11, basically $7.95 to $10.95. In the Claro, we go from that's $8.95 to $11.95,
right.
And then the Signature line, where we've got $11.95 all the way up to $23.75, I think it is, for one of the A's. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, for one of the A's. They come in a 2-count coffin, so they retail at whatever the hell that is times 2.
Times 2.
Yeah, so if you got calculator out, you can do it. Huh?
All 20 counts, right?
Everything's 20 count except for the Coronas. We do the Coronas in a 16 count. We were transitioning into 16 count boxes, but unfortunately the FDA thing happened, and
Right.
we were kind of limited to changing counts. So we ended up keeping that one at 16. We were going to change all of them, and we kept those at 20. And then 20 counts on the Claro and the Blue, 20 counts on the Cineros, and then we do that 2-count coffin in the A's. But yeah, everything else is 20 count though, yeah.
So give us some back history on HR.
Sure. So HR stands for Hirochi Robina, the initials of Hirochi Robina. Hirochi is the grandson of the godfather of tobacco, is Alejandro Robina. They've been operating their farm in Cuba since 1845, growing tobacco on the same piece of land since 1845.
Private farm too, right?
Yeah, I believe they're the only private farm in Cuba that's owned by the family. And Hirochi wanted to get a project started. Him and his grandfather discussed in like 2007, 2008 about getting a product into the domestic market. And so they had kind of come up with a plan on how to get a cigar into the U.S. And so they bought property in Nicaragua and in Ecuador to grow tobacco on. And they started that process in 2009, right before Alejandro passed away in 2010. And then the first cigar to market, I believe we launched it in 2014, is when we brought out the HR Signature. So it took about 5 years from starting growing tobacco on the farms in Ecuador and Nicaragua to get the product to market in 2014.
Now these are only available in the U.S. market, correct?
No, they've just started getting into other markets fairly recently. So we concentrated initially on growing our presence in the United States and really concentrating on the U.S. And then recently we've started to delve into other markets. So we're getting into South America, Lebanon, some of the Middle East, and then we've had a bunch of requests from Europe, especially since the name Robina means a lot over there.
Right.
They've had Vegas Robina.
Yeah.
They've had Vegas Robina for since '98, I think, is when it came out. And so they're really familiar with the Robina name, the story. The Robinas have traveled significantly, whether it was Alejandro or Hirochi's father, Carlos, and then Hirochi as well have traveled extensively throughout Europe and Asia, promoting Habanos for years and years and years as ambassadors for Habanos. So they're really familiar with the HR name, and they've wanted to get the cigars over there. But again, we've wanted to really concentrate our growth in the United States, and we're just to the point now where we're comfortable in terms of the amount of production we have, the amount of tobacco that we have for the product,
Right.
to get it into all these other markets.
What would you say, if it's okay to ask, what's your production numbers, roundabout?
200,000,
Okay,
250,000 a year. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to keep it limited.
Right.
Because it's a very delicate tobacco situation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, as a retailer, I'm super excited about the new prices on the HR Signature.
Yeah.
To me, that's one of my favorite sticks. The Claro I'll smoke every day.
Sure.
The Signature is a treat for me at night. Like, I want that really full, robust flavor. So that whole new price structure is awesome.
Sure.
Man.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I mean, that would come over really well with people.
We got to the point where we had 5 years worth of the tobacco for that cigar that had been aged to the levels that it has to be for us to put that cigar on a shelf. And so every single HR Signature, outside of the time that the tobacco ages and it's fermented, obviously we ferment that cigar, or the tobacco in that cigar, some of it over 2 years in fermentation at no more than 115 degrees, which is fairly low by industry standards, really low by industry standards. But so the tobacco's been fermented over a long period of time, the tobacco's been aged, then we roll those cigars, and before they ever hit the shelf, they've aged for at least a year as a cigar. But we got to the point where we had 5 years worth of tobacco for that particular blend, and it allowed us to reduce our price on that to get it into more stores. We don't have any concern now on running out of the product like we were for the first couple of years I was doing this, we were getting back ordered on the on the Toro size, specifically Sublime size, on a regular basis because we just couldn't make enough to keep up with the demand. And we got to the point now where we can make these things over and over again. So we got ahead. That was our plan, to get ahead, and then that was when we decided we could expand into some foreign markets.
Very cool. And Adrian, how long have you been repping HR?
I've been repping for a long 3 months already.
Yeah,
A long 3 months.
Yeah, it's been really long.
Yeah,
We've
long
got some
time.
history, man.
But I love HR since the beginning. I'm a true follower and cigar enthusiast from HR since 2014.
Yep, since the launch. We actually launched at his store in New York. He was working in Nat Sherman. The original launch of HR was
And
with
I
him.
used to work at Nat Sherman over there, so they launched in HR in New York, and it was a fantastic smoke since the beginning. It's an experience, It's one of the most complex full body cigars, but it's very clean because of the whole quality on the tobaccos.
Right.
It's very interesting. The blue ones as well is really good, and the Claros, the Habano Claros in the HR, which is the white label. Very fantastic cigars.
Oh, for sure.
So where do you guys see the brand going along the next couple of years?
I mean, I really don't see any changes in terms of new line additions or anything like that. We don't really, we're real happy with what we have as our core. We're building this. Maybe some line additions that we've brought to market previously in limited quantities that we'll make more widely available.
Okay.
Lanceros, and we've got a size called the Eagle size, which is a traditional Cuban size. And we've done everything in Eagles, previously, but we'll probably come out with some stuff in some additional sizes, but really no additional line additions in the HR, under the HR moniker. Just want to stick with what we've got core-wise and really just concentrate on building that. We're really happy with this product, and so we just want to continue to push on it and get it out there and get it in more hands and get more people smoking it, interacting on social media about it. We encourage that, and we're heavily involved in Instagram. You can find me at The Drake Is Good, and you can find the company. Yeah,
Drake is good.
you can find the company at White Hat Cigars. So yeah, we interact a lot on social media. We'd love to hear your feedback if you get a chance to smoke the cigars. We interact and engage on social media, and that's such a great platform to kind of to have conversations with consumers and retailers across the country, across the world.
I think it's a good fact that I saw in your post that let's be more social, less media.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's a place to be able to interact where you couldn't do that before.
Exactly.
From the distances that a lot of us are. I mean, it's
Well, you're used to it. Just you go to a cigar shop and you talk with people. Now they can see on social media. Everybody's sharing their cigars with each other.
Yeah.
I love that.
Smokers of Maine, all these different guys from all over the freaking world.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
Europe to the Caribbean. It's a
Yeah, I
very
mean, we definitely, like I said, we want everybody to get engaged. I mean, you can ask either Bella Costa Cigars Bellicoso Cigars Cafe.
In Cafe, yep.
Yeah, and
On
mine's
Instagram.
Oxford Cigar Company, or at Oxford Cigar Co. And you can find us. Drake is good.
Yeah.
And then Cigar Culture.
Adrian, you got yes.
Yes,
Cigar
of
Culture.
course. You can find us well. A lot of great posting and be more social in the cigar culture. It's a great following over there, so we having a blast.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to see you guys' pictures of smoking HR as well.
Yeah, any particular hashtags you like
Yeah,
to use?
HR Cigars.
HR
so
Cigars.
hashtag HR Cigars and hashtag Viva Robina.
Viva
hashtag White Hat Cigars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the three that we use pretty often. Yeah.
Anything else? You got any other questions for them? Like you got out of jail when?
Oh, hold on a second.
No, it's just
So
you go.
if you guys are interested, and I think most people that would be following this and watching this would be interested, there is a short film that won some awards about Hirochi Robina called "The Prince of Smoke" that I would I'd recommend you check out. It's on Amazon Prime. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get to watch it for free. If you're not, I think it's $2.95. It's a 24-minute film about Hirochi taking over the Robina farm from his grandfather Alejandro and kind of taking over the legacy of the Robina name. It's a really, really impressive, well done film. The guys that were behind the film did Chef's Table, if you've ever seen that program on Netflix, and they also did Hero Dreams of Sushi, which is a badass documentary about a famous sushi master out of Japan. It's really, really well done and won a bunch of awards. But the Prince of Smoke won the Audience Choice Awards at the Hollywood Shorts Festival. It won a bunch of awards, and it's really super well done. And I think anytime there's film out there about this industry and about what this industry is about, just for laymen, even people that are not interested in cigars, for them to understand that this is more like wine than it is like cigarettes.
Exactly.
And trying to make sure people understand that this is a different world than that. And so I've had plenty of people that are friends of mine that don't smoke cigars. I don't like them that much because they don't smoke cigars, but they're friends of mine that have really enjoyed that film despite the fact they have no interest in cigars. You know?
And another thing that I want to add about in this, we talked about this in off cameras. It was the name Robina and the story behind the cigar. Many cigars company have a lot of history, story behind. This is a great story behind, and I want you to take the lead on that because the cigars has a quality to compete, but the story behind the Robina family and the Hirochi is really good.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons that the cigar is what it is in terms of quality is because of the name that's behind it. Hirochi wasn't going to put his name on just any cigar and try to capitalize on the Robina name just to get a cigar to market. He developed all of this from day one with Don Omar Gonzalez Alaman that runs the La Corona factory for us in Esteli, Nicaragua. And so he chose the best guy he could get to develop this project with him because the Robina name means so much. I mean, it's all about that legacy for Hirochi. And so, the Robinas, if you're not familiar with the Robinas, it is the premier, pretty much tobacco name out of Cuba. I mean, there's no families now that own their own farm in Cuba, a tobacco farm. And again, they've been growing tobacco since 1845. So you have years and years and generations of knowledge being passed down. And that's some of the things that are kind of brought to light in that Prince of Smoke film is, Hirochi at one point says, he wishes he could have asked his grandfather even more questions, because as things come up, whether it's climate change and things of that nature that are affecting crops, he wishes he would have, maybe had those things happen while his grandfather was alive to lean on that wealth of knowledge. But yeah, the family's been in this a long time, and there's I've been around a lot of passionate people in this industry. There's a lot of passionate people in this industry that are in it for the right reasons, and Hirochi's absolutely one of those guys.
That's true. And
We'll put that link also in for the was it on Amazon you said?
Yeah, and actually you can link to our website, to White Hat Cigars. It's on our front page with that Amazon link
So
right there.
we'll put those links in the bottom too.
Yeah.
now, is it true that he was the only guy to make cigars for Mr. Castro?
No, I mean, so they utilized a lot of tobacco from the farm. So most of the wrapper leaf on Bahique and on Cohiba comes from the Robina farm and has always come from the Robina farm.
Wow.
See that?
Yeah. They don't really publish that or announce that, but yeah, that's the case.
Because I did hear that's the reason why they were able to keep it private.
Yeah.
He worked hand in hand with Mr. Castro himself, and
well, Castro wanted to take him into a co-op, Alejandro into a co-op. When Castro took over, he wanted all the farmers to get into the co-op, and Alejandro basically told him, it's not good for you and it's not good for me. You know, I'm not going to grow as good a tobacco if it's not mine.
Right.
And so that's going to create a lesser cigar for you, which isn't good for Habanos. So he allowed Alejandro to do it. Alejandro was able to convince Castro to allow a couple of other farmers to have that same deal where they were privately, independently owned tobacco plantations. But over the course of time, most of those have fallen off, and now we're left with just the Robinas. And like I was telling you guys before, when I go down to the farm, you'd be blown away at how many busloads of people come down 3.5 hours from Havana on a bus just to meet Hirochi and just to see the Robina farm. It's pretty incredible. I was really
People from all walks.
taken
too.
aback.
I think I saw Jimmy Buffett there.
Oh
He
yeah,
was playing.
him and Jimmy are friends now. It's pretty funny. Yeah, that's a really sad story for me because that was the same week that the Rolling Stones performed. And a friend of mine who's close with Hirochi, he told me a week afterwards, he was like, hey, by the way, we had some basically backstage pass kind of access to the Rolling Stones.
A week later.
And he's like, but I knew you were too busy. I didn't want to tell you about it because I knew you wouldn't be able to say no. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks. You know,
he's never getting cigars from me.
I dig the Rolling Stones. You know, I'm not a huge Rolling Stones fan, but that would have been a pretty cool opportunity.
Exactly.
And then he tells me, he's like, do you know who Jimmy Buffett is?
Buffett.
And I'm like, Jimmy Buffett? And he's like, yeah. He's like, he was hanging out at the farm with Hirochi. And I was like, you son of a bitch. like that's what pissed me off. I didn't get to hang out with Jimmy Buffett. It would have been cool to see the Stones, but hang out with Jimmy Buffett and smoke a cigar with Jimmy Buffett at the farm? That would have been pretty incredible. So, I don't talk to him anymore. Yeah. It's over between us.
Yeah, and the farm was actually really nice.
No,
I've been
it's
to a
well
lot of
done.
farms in Cuba. By far, it was really well done. Great, very small facility, but very nice.
Yeah, and they take pride in those tours, and they want to educate people, and it's kind of like I said before, in that you want to show people that this is different than a lot of other things. This, if you're unfamiliar with the processing and all the different hands that are involved in making a cigar, when you're kind of when that's illuminated for you and you see, it's pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Thanks. But yeah, I mean,
the beauties of doing it live at the retail shop.
At least he reminded me I've got my bag out there, so we're good.
Well, it's like what Josh and we're discussing with Genius today. It's how many people touch their hands with one tobacco.
Yeah,
it's an affordable luxury product.
Oh no,
luxury product.
I think that's the most enlightening thing that you find when you really kind of see the process behind making a cigar is. You realize how incredibly affordable these things are, despite the fact how many people are involved in that process.
Exactly.
If it was anything else, it'd be much more expensive.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
And the trouble just to that little plant to grow into.
Oh, sure, the farming side of it, even before you get into processing it all. Yeah.
And I know he's helped a lot of manufacturers as well.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
historically, names that everybody's heard.
Coronas here.
And like he was super close, but no. Oh, yeah. Hirochi's helped out Jeff Borshowitz, obviously, at the Florida Sungrown stuff. But even long before that, I mean, the relationship between the Robinas and the Plasencias, the Robinas and the Padrones, back to Cuban days. That they were all farmers in the same community, and they all helped each other out. So. Those relationships go back generations.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we all make a cigar.
Yeah.
We go sit at the cigar shop, smoke each other's cigars, and then rate it, right?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Talk shit when they leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't buy any of these cigars.
When they leave.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Return them. What else you got? Anything else?
Well, any special treats or any secrets you might want to share?
He's not going to come out online.
We do have we have an event program that we'll be launching pretty soon that we're really, really excited about. That'll be completely new to the industry. It'll be a really exciting opportunity for our consumers to be able to travel down and see some of the things that we're talking about.
Experience that.
Yeah, that nobody else can really offer. You know.
So there you go. It's gonna be like Disney for cigars. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Oh yeah, well, it's going down with the Santa. Just anyway. I don't want to. I love this guy. Well,
I think that's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap, guys. Thank you for watching.
I got a Cuban sandwich.
You got a Cuban sandwich to eat. You've got whatever. And appreciate it, guys. See ya.
Thank you. See you next time.